Hello, everyone. I hope you all are doing well. Thank you for letting me take that day off. Just wanted to sit around on a Sunday and read a book and not really think of too much. And it ends up, I don't know, I'm kind of doing this video at the last minute. Um, I went to the senior center today to have lunch. And I was sitting there eating, and then the cook came up, and this other lady. They're the ones that are leaving here at the end of the week. And I will say that now that those two are gone, I know nobody that works there anymore. But what happened was they were there talking to me, and all of a sudden they were gone. And then a few minutes later, the cook came up to me, and she was in tears. And she told me, and I'm trying to protect privacy here. I don't share my channel with other people, but still, I feel like I have to protect the people around me. That's why I give them weird names like the cook and the landlord and my host and things like that. I'm just trying to protect people because nobody asked to be put on the internet. And I hide a lot. I don't tell you everything because I am also trying to protect them. It's just my way. I don't feel they didn't volunteer for this, and they think I'm their friend, their friend. So I don't like to. I just try to protect them from all this. There's no reason for you all to know who these people are. But anyway, back to that. All of a sudden, these two disappeared, and I was just sitting there talking to this other lady, and the cook came up, and she was in tears, and she said, I'll say Jane. Jane's dead. And I went, what? And she was just crying so hard I couldn't understand her. And she said, Jane's dead. Well, I know this Jane. I worked with her last year. She's in her 30s. She's a nice lady or girl. She's actually a girl when you compared to me. And she lives right behind the senior center there. And I just went, you're kidding. And what was weird is it was happening right at that moment. We walked. I couldn't get too much out of her. She was really upset. And like I said, we all worked together. I hung out with these people last year. And we walked to the back of the senior center and was kind of watching what was going on. There were no ambulances or anything. And she said something about, well, she didn't answer her phone. She didn't go into work. Everybody was concerned about her because she was having mental health problems. And so finally somebody got one of the volunteer firemen, to break open the door, and then he went in there and said she was dead. So, I don't know. I was really upset. And I'm not sure where the other lady went anyway. It's like it was so confusing. And after, I didn't want to stand there and gawk, so I just left. And as I was leaving, we had stood out there like 10 minutes or something back at the senior center, not at the house. And there were people out there crying and everything. And I went ahead and I said, well, I'm going to leave. And I said, will there be an ambulance? She said, no ambulance. She's dead. And I'm going, okay. So they probably just send a funeral person. This person is only in her 30s, and I know when I came into town, they told me she was having real issues. And kind of her significant other left her. And I guess during the winter sometime, and she just hasn't been able to handle it. And she said, hey, she's led a really rough life, really hard life. And I was always amazed when I found that out because she seemed like such a normal, together person, and apparently she was having issues. So as I was leaving, I was pulling out, and didn't want to just stand there and gawk. And as I was leaving, this man comes tearing up in his pickup truck, jumps out, grabs this big yellow suitcase thingy, and starts running towards the house. And I figured, well, that's a defibrillator. But, you know, then I came, uh, as I was coming, this is only like, we're talking about 15 minutes of time. There's no emergency services and stuff right here, instant anything. we're in a very small village. Anyway, as I was driving back, which is right down the road to home, here comes an ambulance flying down the road. I go, okay. And then I was talking to another friend that also volunteers over there. I was talking to her about it here at home. And the cook calls me and said they brought her back. And I was like, oh, oh, really? And I go, what happened to. I'm getting confused with the names. I don't want to confuse you anymore, but one of the other ladies I was sitting with at lunch happened to be used to be in the military. I didn't know that, and I didn't know also that she used to be an EMS person. So apparently, when they busted the door down, she went in with the guy that busted the door down, the fire guy, and started working on her. And it was confusing because there was this lady outside crying and, you know, all upset. And I thought, you know, Jane was dead. But apparently she was. And that guy that came running up was a defibrillator, and then the ambulance came right away. And she's alive. Last I heard, the cook called me and told me they brought her back, which is really good because she's not that old. I know life can be really rough, but she's too young. You know, she's got her whole life ahead of her. It's really upsetting. Anyway, what gets me about, you hear how in the cities and all over how there's such a, people don't have money, they're poor, they get it, you know, they have no hope, they don't, there's nothing. And that's how they get into drugs and alcohol, is because there's just not a whole lot of hope, there's not a lot of opportunities out there. And I've heard this my whole life. And I did live, well, in the county, but in a large town, city, by the city. And I really didn't pay too much attention to it, though I was aware of it. Um, but what hit me when I came up to the mountains, especially last year, when I started working with these lovely people, these wonderful girls, ladies, was that poverty is so prevalent up here, and there is not a lot of job opportunities. And yeah, and there is a lot of alcoholism and drugs. And I found that out last year, and it kind of threw me because I couldn't believe every pink person I knew was basically had some issues. And I kind of hung around with them. And that's why this year when I came up, I said, I'm not, you know, it's cool. I love these people I hang out with, but I'm not doing that. I'm not getting into the whole scene here this year. And I haven't. I've stayed out of it. But I mean, it was fun. I've told you before, I had a fun. I acted like I was in my 20s and for a whole summer, and that's it. But this year I'm going, no, I'm not doing that. So I've pretty much stayed out all of it, but unfortunately, these people live up here, and it's not as easy for them. And there isn't a lot of jobs, and they're not well-paying jobs. The only people that have money, and I hate to be ignorant about the only people that have money are these RVers in their 40-foot RVs that come up into the mountains all around me. And they eat at that senior center, which should my friend was joking, well, those senior meals go to people with money and big RVs. I go, I know. It's hard to feel sorry. But yeah, there's no poor people eating at the senior center except maybe the 5 or 6 locals I told you that come there all year long. Yeah, there's not a lot of poor people eating there. But yeah, and the village is only, it's less than 300 people when there aren't all the RVers here. I think it's like 285 people. So it's not a real big um, place, and they don't have services like my friend Jane. She'll probably spend some time in a hospital, and hopefully she'll live through this. But the problem is she comes right back to something, and there's no help. There's no help to be had for people with problems up here, unfortunately. And as the cook said, she needs to get out of these mountains. And she is not the only one is having issues up here. The friends that I left for the winter, and a lot of them are. And there's no services for them that will help them. I don't mean to get on a high horse. I'm not a political person or get into this. It's just sad because I was a little shocked when I was up here last year and I discovered there's like an underbelly here in this beautiful little village. And I suppose there was where I came from too, but like I said, there were so many people, it got buried. Now I know the people. you know, it's not buried under hundreds of thousands of people, where you could look away the other way. I mean, it's right there with people I know and I worked with last year. Yeah. So, I mean, it's sad. I'm okay. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. I'm just kind of talking out loud. Um, because I just didn't feel like making a video for you guys. So I thought, well, we'll do this so you'll understand why. Anyway, I hate to see somebody in their 30s. She might be early 40s, but I don't think so. I think she's in her 30s to just have these issues. I mean, no, I know she's had these issues before in her life, but they said she was really spiraling out of control, and there was no help for her here. So it's sad. It really is. Maybe she does need to get down out of these mountains and get somewhere, Santa Fe or something, where she can find some help and move on with her life. Anyway, hopefully she's still with us. That's about it. I just wanted to tell you what was going on. So I'm not. I guess I did make a video after all, but I just wanted to talk it out. You know. No. Okay. I did my calendula. One of my calendulas that I grew actually came out. So, and showed its pretty little calendula face to the world today. I'm just going to end this video with this pretty little smiley face here. And hope you all are well, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.